You're listening to a Benstown and McVeigh Media Podcast Network production. Run It Again is an inside look at the players, the coaches, and the business of sports with former NFL star and broadcaster Ron Pitts.
And 2 minutes later, I was back in the same Oklahoma drill that I got the concussion from.
And the mastermind behind the greatest show on turf, Coach Mike Martz.
And we want to force him into a vanilla defense and go to work.
Run It Again is a hard-hitting, no BS podcast that connects you directly to the source. This is Run It Again.
We've got a treat right now, definitely. Ron Pitts, Mike Martz here on Run It Again podcast, and we'd like to invite in a very special guest joining us this morning, Hall of Famer Isaac Bruce of the Los Angeles and St. Louis Rams. He got them both in there, and Isaac is joining us right now. Isaac, thank you for joining us this morning, man. We appreciate it. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on the show. You, Coach Martz, the title of the show is just right on. What more can I say, man? It's right on. So,
hey, it's funny because we were trying to decide for the longest. Okay, what do we call this show? And then Mike is the one who thought of it. You know,
I know that. Yeah,
you heard this term before. I've read it again. Right. Huh?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh boy! Man, hey, congratulations again on your Hall of Fame induction, Isaac. That was awesome.
I appreciate it, Mike. You know, in the midst of it all, I mean, we had our moments, and we'll always have our moments. But when my iPad got hijacked, you know, I was kind of in a panic, but you know, I listed everything I wanted to talk about, and wanted to publicly say thank you to you for all your help as far as my development was concerned, as far as being a man, a football player, just being a citizen, man. I mean, I learned so much from you. Your approach to the game meant a whole lot to me, and everybody in that room that you were leading at that time, man. I mean, it's just amazing how we just took on your persona and started to speak like you, walk like you, have the same confidence as you. And we saw with our own eyes what you can do to players who are considered low-level players and raise their levels. You did it so many times, particularly in my eyesight, man. I just want to say thank you on behalf of those guys that didn't say thank you, and just lead the charge and say, man, you meant a lot to me, my career, and everything that came and was associated with me from life and part of football as well. So thank you, man. And thanks for keeping the relationship alive, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm honored.
Well, thank you, Isaac. That means the world to me. It really does. You know, I love you. And you're just, like I've always said, you're one of our kids. You're part of our family. You always will be.
Hey, Isaac, you know, I think we talk about you more than we talk about any of the active players every week on the show, because Coach always has a good story about something, you know, that he did with you guys or that went on with you guys that he always seems to weave into what's going on in NFL right now. When you think back to that time with Coach Martz, Coach Vermeil, you know, the whole staff and the whole team, what stands out in your mind? Is there one particular memory, one particular moment, defining moment for you in your career and the team?
I'd have to say mindset, man. You know, with Mike being the OC and then turning into the head coach, he taught us how to think. I mean, I had him as my position coach way back in 1995. And from just a position standpoint, he taught me how to think as a wide receiver. And that's so important in any endeavor that you try to achieve success in. Having that mindset is of the utmost importance. So, you know, I remember specifically in 1995, you know, he was teaching me to watch film. I was pretty much just basing everything off talent from that standpoint. But, you know, he told me what to look at, how to see it. He gave me quarterback eyes, and to look at the great ones, the great wide receivers that were in the game around my time, and how they didn't waste time at the line of scrimmage, or how they didn't really, you know, hand fight with guys going down the field, but really kept their focus on the football. I mean, some of the small things, the small details that a lot of people really don't use and don't have right now in the game. I mean, for instance, like, you know, at the last second, don't run down the field like this with your hands out. But at that last moment, boom, pop your hands out and take that ball from it, so you don't give a defensive back or a safety any indication of body language. So things like that. And and whenever he was given his, his weekly game plan, and I still use this to this day. We may discuss a defense. They may have a wrecking ball defense, a number one ranked defense, but at the end of the conversation, he would always say, "You know what? We'll probably end up only putting 40 against this team." So that did something for my thinking, and I'm sure it did something for the other guys thinking that, we can have this, Tampa Bay Bucks defense that is smashing people with Hall of Famers on it, but at the same time, we can move the ball, we can do what we do, as long as we keep the focus on who we are and execute.
Wow.
Isaac, since you played, the game has changed a little bit, but is there a receiver out there that you really like, that's kind of your favorite, that you have fun watching? Is there anybody out there that impresses you more than the others?
I'm initially drawn to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yes.
We have a similar build, I think. I think he's strong as catching the ball, as far as, kind of like Torrey was, and kind of like Todd Kitchen. He was strong with his hands, and he likes to get in the mix. He likes to mix it up. I call him a football player first and a wide receiver second. He can do everything that you look for in a wide receiver. He's one of those guys that has it all. Route running, run after the catch, catching the football, being able to be aware what's going on down and distance. Those things. I mean, that's the first guy that I see, and there's some other guys that I like to watch play. But DeAndre Hopkins is that guy that, I'd pay my money to go watch him.
Is there a team out there that you like in terms of the Super Bowl that's kind of your favorite, or you kind of love to watch every Sunday, that you kind of make an effort to see?
Well, if I'm not watching the Rams, being a homer, I'm definitely looking out for Kansas City and what they do. I think from top to bottom, starting with Coach Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, and moving on to the players, Holmes, and the talent that they have on the perimeter. It kind of is very similar to what we have. I like the way they have that offensive mindset. I mean, they like taking ground. They like keeping the players involved mentally, as far as formations, motions, movements, and stuff. A lot similar to what we had. And they make plays. They throw the ball down the field. They like taking their shots, and I enjoy watching that type of offense.
Isaac, this kid. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Now, this kid, while we're on this subject, this kid from Minnesota, Justin Jefferson, well, he does some things that remind me of you sometimes. I mean, a playmaker, always seems to be in the right place at the right time. Give me your thoughts on him.
Yeah, I've only watched him a couple of times. I do remember watching him in college at LSU. I'm a big college football fan. And indeed, I think he can be that 5'2" wide receiver. He can be a number one. I think he's has great body language. His ability to high point footballs, catch them in traffic. He's definitely learning from other guys that may be around him. And I think his coaching may be where it needs to be. But he's definitely one of the next guys on that next level. If I had a top three, he'd definitely be in that next level of wide receivers. And I think he's coming on strong. I think he needs that perfect mesh where the running game is really consistent, and you get that single high safety, and you can really see what he can do as far as running a route tree.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Rams overall, Isaac? I know they're playing at such a high level now with a quarterback with Stafford, but I mean, obviously he's made such a big difference. There's such a connection between he and the head coach. You like their receiver core though, Cooper Kupp and those guys. Yeah.
I'll tell you what about Coach McVay. I mean, he's a breath of fresh air. He reminds me a lot of you, Coach. I mean, when you came on the scene and when you reintroduced yourself to the National Football League, I mean, just the innovation behind what you were doing I think it's very similar with him, and it was hard for a while for teams to catch up with him. I think this year, with the addition of Matthew Stafford, coach, he can just be an offensive coordinator. I mean, he doesn't have to be a quarterback on the field. I mean, 15 seconds into the play, he doesn't have to watch the defense and relay, what's happening in front of him. He has a veteran guy who's played a lot of football, who can go out and really dissect what's going on defensively in front of him and just play football. He can move on to the next play. So as a whole, as a wide receiver group, I think is one of the top groups in the league. I mean, you look at Deshaun Jackson, a guy who can take the top off the defense. You get it in his hand early. He can still push it down the field with his speed, being 34 years old. And Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, they can just do everything. I mean, whatever you need them to do, particularly in the slot, third downs. When I see Robert Woods, I kind of think of Oz being able to run those jet sweeps like we used to run. And just tough. I seen this past Sunday, he ran, they gave him the ball out of the backfield. I mean, that's something that I would never want to do. I think only Oz would have the mindset to do that. But that's a great group of guys. And I think they're bringing Van Jefferson along slowly, as they should. But I think he's learning from a great group of guys where he could be successful in this league in the future.
Well, that's a great team. They're probably the best team in the league. And I don't know that they'll ever be here again. You know what I mean? When the season's over with, no matter what they do, they put everything into this season, I think, there's danger. Of course, if you don't win it all, then, that makes it hard. But they're certainly the best team in the league, in my opinion, at this point, and particularly on defense. It's fun to watch their defense play as well.
Yeah, great personnel on defense. I mean, I think everything starts and finishes with Aaron Donald.
Yeah, no
question.
I mean,
that's right.
What more can you say about him? This guy, from penetration to playing a run, just to getting after guys. And I think they have enough depth in that defensive line where you can spell Aaron Donald for a couple of series, and he comes back later in the series fresh, putting more pressure on guys. And Jalen Ramsey, I mean, this year he's Mr. Do It All. He's like a linebacker that can play defensive back right now. So when you have those caliber players on your defense, I think it makes it easier for the coordinator, to play some zone schemes on the opposite side of those guys and really bait quarterbacks into throwing us the football.
The other part of that is kind of like what we had done. We'd get out so big on people. You put people on the other side and one-dimensional. And now you got Aaron Donald and that whole front. And the other team they have to play catch up. They have to throw the football to get you. And that's where you really put them away. And that's the fun part of it. Then you can run the ball the second half and kind of put them away.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see. I think they're gelling. Still early, Mike. 3 weeks into the season, and they got the division play, which I think is going to be most important.
Yeah,
with Arizona being who they are this year, Kyler Murray playing great. Seattle, it's always hard to win up there in Seattle. I don't care what your record is going into Seattle. It's going to be tough. And the 49ers, you got that rival. Once again, it's really ramping up, and they got playmakers on their team as well.
Yeah, the 49ers. Yes, indeed, the 49ers. No matter who we played before them, as soon as that game was over with in the locker room, it was right on to the 49ers. So we didn't take any time off, nothing. That was it, buddy. You got to get those 49ers. You're going to make it a long trip for them. But, well, it's awesome to listen to you talk again about football. You were so quiet when we played. You're so focused and everything, but it's fun for me to listen to you talk about other players, and your thoughts about the game is pretty awesome.
Yeah, appreciate it, Mike. Like I say, Mike, just your presence, everything you gave us, and you allowed us to live in the moment, and really reminded us, constantly that only what you do for others will last, and enjoying the ride that we were currently on, because it would benefit us in the future, and these are those fruits and those benefits that we're enjoying right now, man. So these things, these podcasts, these awards and trophies, that we're up for at times, is great, man. But nothing will steal the memories that we had, and
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
you leading the greatest show on turf. I mean, it would, nothing will ever seal it. I mean, it's always etched in our thinking. And every time we get an opportunity, man, I mean, we're on this huge text message, as you know, we just remind each other of it, man. And it's great having teammates like that, man.
Yeah, it is. It was a great run. It the sweetest, one of the sweetest memories in my life. I know that. And the relationship with you guys, and stand on the sideline, you run a deep ball and we don't get it. He overthrows you or whatever. And you start coming to the sideline and point to the huddle. You go right to the huddle. We throw it to the end.
Yeah.
You wanted to get that blow, huh, Isaac?
Run it again.
Yeah.
Run it again.
Yeah, we come out, we throw it to him again deep. We said, this time we'll get you, So guys today playing, Isaac, I watched the receivers, raise their hand. They got to come out. And that you and Tori never came out of the game. There's a level. There's a level of strength, just the condition, but the mindset to deal with that fatigue and just push it aside and still play at the highest level is something very few guys in the game can accomplish. And you were the best example of that the best competitor by far I've ever coached or been around. And we had our moments that, initially before my stay there before 95 and 96 was pretty brutal. I know it was frustrating for you, but in the end, it worked out good, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely, man. I'd be, sometimes I'd be in the huddle. I look over, I see T Hope, his head is between his legs, catching his breath. I'm in the same position. And, the next play comes up and I'm thinking to myself, man, how come I always have to go in the motion? Why am I always moving?
Why do you got to go the move guy? That's
right. I'm the move guy. I'm the Z. I got to do zip. I got to do zoom. But, it all worked out because, what Mike was doing was manipulating the defense as he did so graciously, man. And just to be a part of that, be that move guy. And then at the same time, run that 7 pump, man. It was exhilarating and rewarding at the same time, man.
We did that primarily because people started to double you all the time. They were in and out, over and under on you. And the way to take that away is when we moved you in that 7 pump, we were playing, I'll never forget, we were playing San Francisco, and there's like 38 or 40 seconds left before the half.
Yeah.
We put 2 tight ends out there like we were going to run the ball. We threw a 7 pump to you for 80.
Yeah.
You took it into the tunnel. It just kept going. It was pretty awesome.
And that's what I mean, Mike, the innovation, your innovation. Who else would do that? Because most people try to just sit on the ball, go into halftime, regroup, and come out. But you always had that, I call it the land acquisition mindset. Just take more land. Yeah. And we started to expect it. I mean, we didn't rest on what we did last series, but we expected to take more land. And 7 pumps, 087 pump, fit release, and all that switch releases, stack pass.
Yeah.
Oh man, those things are classic, man. I mean, Tori and I, we talk about it. I go to his camps at times and we just talk about it. Or when we see other teams, even colleges now, you got Bill, I think it's Bill Bradley down at Alabama, man. And they ran a perfect 702, high 702 from the goal line against Miami in the first. Oh, and I thought it was just, I called Tori. I was like, bro, did you see that, man? That's our play right there. So we have those memories, man. And when we see it, other teams still attempting to run it, man, we just, quietly text each other, man, have a quick laugh about it. But it's great, though.
We developed some things just because of you guys were who you were. And we knew what great athletes and how special you were. So we tried to emphasize that with that high 7, the deep 7, the 7 pumps, and let you play, so to speak. You cannot not let them play. You just got to let them play.
Absolutely.
It's
absolutely.
Awesome.
And when I'm watching football with my wife, when I can talk her into watching a game with me too. I think probably 2 weeks ago, I saw somebody come from under the center, fake it to the fullback, and flip it to the tailback. I said Mike Martz invented that play right there. And they're still trying to perfect it, still trying to run. I say that's Mike Martz all day right there. So she'll look at me and just roll her eyes, but I know what it means. Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Isaac, I know you've got quite a few things going on in the community. You've been very active in that sense. I was reading about your IBF Flight 300 program. for students. Tell us a little bit about that and how it originated.
Hey, man. Well, thanks for asking about it. You know what? I was in that position where once I graduated high school, I did sign a scholarship offer to go to University of Purdue, but didn't qualify academically. And one of the coaches on staff, it was the Fred Akers staff. I think the coach was Lonsbury. He ended up having a friend out west in West Los Angeles College, and I needed airline money, airline fund, airline ticket, anything just to get me out of South Florida at that time, just to get to school and start my academic and athletic career. By the grace of God, that money appeared to me. And when I got in a position to, do the same thing, we created the Flight 300 program through the Isaac Bruce Foundation, where we provide airline tickets, bus tickets for students who study outside of their hometown. And we purchase dorm decor. We do bags, we pay for bags, Uber rides to and from the airport, because a lot of these students, this is their first time being on an airplane. I mean, my very first time being on an airplane, I was a senior in high school and I was visiting Purdue University. So just having that mindset, we just take care of everything. And, the size of relief that we get from these students once they figure out and learn that we can take care of this part of their academic career for them, it's just special. And we enjoy doing it. Not one student has been turned away that has come to us. And I think this past year, we've provided 174 airline tickets for students, and recently partnered with American Airlines. So we're in a good place right now with Flight 300, man, and it's growing, and I like the way it's headed.
Man, those are great stories. See, those are the type of stories that I want to hear more of, see more of in the media. Not, we get enough of the athlete that's in trouble and the negativity, but things like that need to be brought to the forefront more. And I'm glad you're involved in that.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yep.
Unselfishness, huh, Isaac? Gotta give back. Gotta give.
You have to. It's important, man. I mean,
Yep.
Kind of the way we were brought up, just celebrate each other's success.
Yep.
And, Mike, you've donated to it, and you so graciously donated to it. And thank you for that. And it's still a lot more work to do. And I like being in the mix, helping people and making other people's dreams come true. I've had a lot of success in life in these small 48 years. And I like being on the forefront and really kind of pushing other people toward their dreams so that they accomplish what they're here for, their destiny.
Isaac Bruce, a definition of greatness. Absolutely. The greatest ever.
We appreciate it, man. Hey, before you go, I got to ask you now, you and Coach, you guys are going to be, at least character-wise, portrayed in this movie coming out, this American Underdog, about Kurt and the Rams and everything. Tell me a little bit about this now. Did you have a chance to meet the guy that's going to be Isaac Bruce in the movie?
I haven't had that opportunity, unfortunately. When I first heard that the movie was being ready to start being produced and put together and everything, I told Kurt, I was like, make sure you ask Denzel Washington twice. And if you don't get him, ask Omar Epps to play me, because I felt like, those are the only two people. And my brother Samuel Bruce can do me justice. So,
man.
But I hear, from what I hear, I mean, it's going to be a movie that's truly worth watching, and a great story. I mean, Kurt had a great story. And, I just can't go without saying how much Coach Mike Martz benefited to Kurt Warner's success. I mean, behind the scenes. And we talk about Sean McVay having Matthew Stafford this year, where he can just be offensive coordinator and go to the next play. The year before, he had to do a lot more with Jared Goff. It was the same position when Kurt took the Rams. I mean, Mike Martz for a while was the quarterback of the Rams, and until he started to tutor Kurt to be more confident in just having the position and being able to play the position. So hats off to Mike Martz and everything he did, not only for myself, but all of my teammates that were in that era.
I appreciate that, Isaac. That means the world to me. It really does.
It's only the truth, man.
Mike and I talk a lot about that one particular play that, I mean, I remember, it just stands out in my head for some reason. You guys were playing Minnesota in the playoff game. They're in St. Louis. And, you know, the talk had been all week long how Denny Green was going to put the top, what they call it, put the roof on this thing and not let the Rams have them big plays. And now we're going to do it right and blah, 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 blah. And the first play of the game, Mike dialed up a go, and you guys torched him, and you went down the field and caught that pass, man, and the roof blew off that dome. And I tell you, man, that energy, I can still, if I close my eyes, I can still feel that energy when Kurt stepped back and let that thing go, and you caught it and scored. It was unreal.
Well, I tell you what, man, we had known the play, which was an 88 combination by Torrey and myself, since probably Wednesday that afternoon, Thursday morning. We knew that would be the first play of the game. So he was pretty confident in what he had saw on film and just put us in position. And I truly remember that because the Vikings got the ball first and they go down the field, and our defense hold them to a field goal. And, you know, by the time we get on the field, it's probably 9 minutes left in that quarter, in the first quarter. And Ron, just like you said, man, I mean, the hype of the game all week long was like building up to that moment. Kickoff was dynamite. Lining up in the slot, it was dynamite. And it's kind of like that moment. I went to a couple of hockey games, and I was amazed just how quiet it is in hockey games right before a person scores a goal. And it was very similar. I got the ball in my hands and I took off. And that's like when this roof just started waving up and down and shaking from all the noise. I mean, I don't think fans get enough credit about how they help their home teams win games and how they can affect games. I mean, definitely we've played on the road in Seattle, and we just hear how noisy they can be. They can change a game just from, their fans. But our fans really showed up that day and that following week versus the Bucks, man. It was just amazingly loud. But the play was known from that Wednesday afternoon, and we just stuck with it. And, it was always funny because we were convinced as a unit, an offensive unit, just by being with Mike on a daily basis. But I think sometimes he had to convince Coach Vermeil that things would work. And Coach, we'd hear Coach Vermeil walk around. Okay, we're gonna run 88 on Thursday. All right, and on Thursday, this is what we're gonna run. And bam, boom, bam, it's 7-3 before you know it.
That was a moment I'll always remember, boy.
What you don't know though, he had tweaked his hamstring during warmups. And
you told me that,
he didn't tell him, but he had to give me a heart attack. I'm glad you didn't say anything about it.
Right. I didn't want to open my mouth to anybody. You, Jim Anderson, I didn't want to tell a soul, man. So, and it worked out well for us, Mike.
Yeah, then we come back and throw a screen the next series to Marshall. He takes in from 60, so we'd run about 3 or 4 plays and we'd score 14 points, and then they'd take a 9-minute drive, go down there and kick a field goal or something. It's crazy. We actually went at halftime behind a few points and we just came back out, and then that was it. That was the second half. We just let them up. Yeah.
Well, Coach, unless you got anything else, Isaac, we got to let you go, man. We appreciate your time. We could do this all day.
Yep.
Man. This was fun.
Greatest ever.
Fun.
Greatest ever.
I mean, anytime we get to talk, what happened in the past or what's happening in football right now, I truly enjoy it. I'm more of a listener when it comes to that. And I like telling my stories to the civilians because their eyes get extra big. But this is where I get my content from. And I truly thank you guys. And I appreciate you, Coach Martz, once again, for having me and asking me on, man. Love you, man.
Love you too, Isaac. You're the best.
Yes,
you're the greatest ever, man.
Absolutely. All right, Isaac, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, Ron.
Isaac Bruce, former Los Angeles Rams, St. Louis Rams Super Bowl winner, Hall of Fame wide receiver, and one heck of a person, Mike.
Greatest ever. They call him the greatest ever. He had his ability to compete was so unique. The first 2 years with him back there, before I went to Washington, we were a very poor football team, and he got so upset with guys because they wouldn't compete, not to the level that he was competing. It was very frustrating for him. And Isaac's always has been all about winning, just purely all about winning. That's all he wanted to do. Didn't worry about his stats, his numbers, or he just wanted to win. So he wanted, and that's how he practiced.
He said something there. I mean, he said a lot of things, obviously, but he mentioned a phrase that is purely militaristic. And it probably speaks to how coordinators, defensive and offensive, think or should think. He said land acquisition mindset, meaning you should always be thinking about acquiring more and more land. Now, this isn't a real estate term. This is a football term. Like I said, this is a military term. And Mike, you guys played with that mindset. You coached with that mindset.
Chunks. We're looking for chunks. We didn't want little itty bitty. Our running game wasn't designed to control the clock. It wasn't designed to do anything but get big runs. So if we're going to run the ball and get a yard or two, then we were going to run it. You know what I mean? Then we'd throw it 27 times. We ran the ball so that we would get, anywhere from 6 to 15 yards or better, and so our running game was designed completely around not bloody nose, but, moving guys around on defense, getting force out of the way so we could pop one in there, So we spent a lot of time on formationing to create big gains in the running game. So we're always looking at chunks or yardage, like he said. We're trying to get yards, big yards on every snap.
Wow, boy, that was fun there. Isaac Bruce, and this is Ron Pitts and Mike Martz here on Run It Again. And now we know more about the title "Run It Again," right? That's now I really know where it came from. Man, you had those guys gassed in the huddle, and you just screamed, "Run it again!"
Well, that was a coaching term during practice. If it wasn't run perfect, they say run it again, and you'd get it lined up so it's run perfect. In practice, we wanted to practice perfect plays. And if it wasn't perfect, then we regroup, get the scout team to do it right, and we'd run it again. So, and then on the tape too, you run it back and forth. Run it again. Let me look at that. Run it again. You start looking at the little details and calling guys out on the little details of what they did in that play, whether it was good or not. It could be better, and they get used to that term. Run it again.
Oh, great stuff. Great stuff. All right. Hey, Mike, I heard a rumor that it's not enough that Sean Payton brings you down to counsel the quarterbacks and tutor the offense a little bit, but now Fresno State is calling you up to talk to their team. Man, you're out the door here pretty soon. I can feel that. I'm going to need a new podcast partner.
First of all, I just came down to observe it with New Orleans, but yeah, I went up there and gave them a pep talk before the game. They were 31-point favorites against Las Vegas, and they had to hang on and win at the
31
last
points.
Yeah, they threw a touchdown pass at the very end to win the game, but they're a really good team. And my talk to them was about having a standard of excellence and playing to that every week, and it's hard for young kids like that to realize that, you have to have a competitiveness like Isaac. I mean, you can talk all you want to somebody who does not have that fire of that competitive spirit in them, just the desire to win. It just rolls off their back. They don't get it. And those young kids, I think, experiencing that game now, they played poorly, particularly on defense. Offensively, got going in the second half, but they still won. So when you play below what your potential is and you still win, it's an indication you're a really pretty good team. So they need to make sure that never happens again.
It's tough now. It's even tough for the pros. I remember Dad used to always say, I can't make the guys, and you point to me and say, you guys, you players understand that this team coming in here next week can beat you, even though you had a great win and people are telling you how great you are and this and that. UCLA went through that right before they played Fresno State after the LSU game.
Right, exactly. It's a trap.
It's a trap. Right. You got to be ready to go every single week, and you better bring your A game or you're going to get surprised.
So what we used to talk about with Isaac and those guys is it didn't make any difference who comes in there. I don't care about what team it is, what their numbers are, who their good players is. It's all about us and our performance. And if our performance is at the highest level, it doesn't make any difference who you play. We're going to win that game.
Yep. So moving on here, Mike, what games jumped out at you? I mean, obviously there are some big ones in the Rams and the Bucks. So let's start with that one. Boy, that was that was kind of the showcase game that the league has been waiting on, and it finally happened. And I just thought the Bucs, they didn't look right from the start, and then I saw Gronkowski do something I've never seen. He dropped the ball, and Jamel Dean dropped an easy interception, and Stafford was skittish early. And then once he settled in, that's all it could be. And then once he settled in, they took off.
The game was such a big game to them. I think they felt like if they win this thing, then there isn't anything that'll stop them. And I think that's the case too.
Right.
I think they're clearly way out in front of everybody, with the exception of Buffalo. I think they're the best team in the league right now. I think Buffalo will challenge them. I think the Cowboys are starting to be who we had thought they would be years ago. They still are giving up too many big plays in the back end, but I think the Rams, I think they're a scary team to play right now. If I'm a quarterback, I don't want to get underneath that center and look over at Aaron Donald, and he's blowing snot bubbles out there calling your name out. So that's got to shake anybody up. They're a violent football team. They really are, and violent football teams make big plays because they intimidate guys.
Remind you of the 86 Bears, 85 Bears.
Yeah.
Remind you of the Giants team in 86. Remind you of
Baltimore.
Yeah, you're right. The Ravens team, with Ray Lewis. So you hit it. Violence. You have to play. I don't know that you can play football in a quiet, docile mood. It helps sometimes to be a little mad, to be a little pissed off.
Well, the thing about it, we used to talk about this all the time, is you guys get emotional. Like we had a coach one day talk to the team when I was at Washington, and we're playing a Monday night game. He talked about the importance of Monday night football. Bring your best. The whole world's watching. And I was thinking about, well, why would you wait till Monday night? Where you been the rest of the year? Don't you bring your very best, your A game every time you line up, right? And I think that teams, there are a lot of teams kind of like that. But when you play a team like the Rams, you better bring it all, because they're such a physical team. So it's not emotion, it's intensity. There's an intensity about them, a quiet intensity about them. They play with such passion. They just don't let up. And that's the kind of team that, they just rise above everybody. And whether they've got the number of great players as anybody else, they're going to play with more intensity than everybody every week. And that's what they do.
Yeah. And it looks like they got the quarterback situation finally solved, but hey, it's a long year. We've added an extra game, 17 games now. So in the season. So we've got a long way to go. The first half of their season is going to be, they should have 8 wins in the first half of this season. Second half, they're going to be on the road a little more, a couple trap games in there, I think, but we'll see now. They've been to that promised land and got beat. And so a lot of times teams are different when they've been down the road before and they're going back the second time. So,
I think if they see a team that's got a great pass rush, you know what I mean? They got some edge players that'll give them some problems on offense. But Sean will end up running the ball. The way you treat that is you run right at those pass rushers and make them play football. And those are just some of the things that you just do when you see those kinds of teams. But he gets antsy. He makes some bad throws under pressures, like a lot of guys will. But right. I think his game and the attention to detail now with with Sean, and his relationship with Matthew Stafford will get better and better. And I think he'll play better and better, as good as he already is.
Yeah. LA Chargers in Kansas City. Kansas City's got several issues. They don't look good right now. And Justin Herbert, you've been talking about him for a while, Mike. He really is a fine quarterback. He's making some throws that are very, very impressive.
The thing about him is just like when you look at the Bears, that pass rush, you stick Justin Herbert in it, the ball will be gone. I mean, the ball just comes out of his hands so quickly, and he can put that thing wherever he wants. If there's interceptions because the receiver fell down or wasn't where he's supposed to be, kind of a thing. He is just remarkable. He's the one guy that I want to watch play every week. I want to make sure I see him play. He's a very special player.
Yeah, absolutely. Dallas, man, Philadelphia, Sirianni, they've got a ways to go there. I just don't. They just looked a lot like Chicago to me, and we'll push to that next. But they just looked like Jalen Hurts didn't understand. understand the plan, where he was going with the ball. I think he's got some talent. His throwing motion is weird. It looks like he never gets everything into the ball, but that could just be his motion. But they didn't look like offensively like they were in sync.
They couldn't protect him at all, Ron. And when you get behind like they did, when the other team goes out and dominates the clock like Dallas did, that's kind of what happened to Green Bay against New Orleans. Here's what happens to you as a play caller. They go out and they take a 7-minute drive and they score a touchdown. And maybe you go 3 and out. Then they do the same thing. So you get nervous. So now you've had the ball for 2 or 3 minutes and they've had it for 17 minutes. And now you feel like you got to make something happen. And then you start doing stuff. Yeah, start doing stuff. You can't, instead of just going out and doing the game plan, you start trying to heave it around a little bit. And that's what they did. And I tell you what, though, I was really impressed with him, Ron, because he made some throws under duress I didn't think he could do. There's one running to the side where he threw it down there. There's no way.
Sure. Yeah.
He stuck it right on him. So he played better than I thought he was. He really did. I think they've got some problems up front. I really do. But defensively, they do a pretty good job, which, I mean, they still match Dallas in production yards wise, if you can believe that. But they had no clock. They didn't have the ball.
No, defensively, you saw Fletcher Cox trying to make plays like he always does. And they were flying around, but they just, like you said, they didn't have the ball enough. And Dallas committed to their run game. And it was dirty and ugly and down in the trench for a while. That Dallas O-line, they kind of looked like the old school Dallas O-line in the 90s for a little bit, the way they said, okay, we're coming right at you. We're going to pound. And I noticed Zeke wasn't getting up, doing too much of the spoon feed thing and pointing it. It was all business. It was like, get back in the huddle. We're coming again. Get back in the huddle. We're coming again.
Well, they did a great job with that. And I think that's the difference right now. Had they done this in the opener, they probably wouldn't have lost it to Tampa Bay. They have the plan right now, and they have to stick with, because of the 2 backs that they have, alternating them in there. There's such a dilemma for the defenses. And, he came in there in that one touch, and he met the linebacker 3 at the 3-yard line and ran right through him into the end zone. So, I mean, when you get a guy that's running like that, it's just like, it's really like Cleveland and Chubb. When you get guys that are running through your linebackers for 5 and 6 yard gains, you got to keep giving them the ball.
Yeah. Kareem Hunt and Chubb. Yeah, right. Yeah. No, they got that going with Pollard. That Pollard kid's a good switch up there.
Yes, he is.
And I think they found some. They still have this thing where they do dumb stuff at the wrong time, like Dak losing the ball in the end zone that led to an early touchdown, by the Eagles. Stuff like that doesn't have to happen. And then they do the quarterback sneak and he doesn't get in. They've got to fix those little things, because little things can become big things later on.
Well, that's a coaching deal. Down the goal line, 4th and goal, you got these 2 backs that have been just gashing them, running right through the, you put Zeke in there and hand him the ball. It doesn't make any difference who's there. He's going to run through them. And I don't know why they did that. Then the other thing is to take a deep drop in your own end zone when your offensive line, you're missing 2 guys. They were missing 2 guys in the offensive line. Why would, you just run the ball and get it out there, or get it out to where you can take a 3 to 5 step drop. But to go back in the end zone and hold the ball, I would blame the call more than I would anything else. And then not keep extra blockers in, to protect him in that situation. There are a couple of those things that you just kind of shake your head at, but they're doing a great job. They're mixing it up really good. They're giving Dak a chance to get the ball down the field at the same time.
Yeah. Now the Raiders did what we just talked about here. Good teams find a way to win the game. Doesn't mean it's always going to look pretty, but they go in overtime with the Dolphins, and Dolphins don't have Tagovailoa, but you knew for some reason this was going to be a dogfight because of the way the Raiders have been playing, and now they're coming home to a team under the radar, so to speak, but they pulled it out.
Well, Miami's a really good team, and like drawing a blank on the quarterback that came in there, but he played really well. I watched him a little bit. They certainly played good enough to win, and defensively they're a really good team. But here's the difference in the Raiders and the Raiders in the last 3 years for John. Defensively, they've finally got that defensive line now. I think is the best in football. I really do. And at the back end, they're making guys get the ball out faster, more accurate, making errant throws. In the back end, they fix that. They're much better on defense than they've been at any time that John's been there. And then the second part of it, John offensively, he's meticulous in terms of getting bits and pieces of yards and getting the first down. He gets first downs. He's not a guy to take the ball down the field. He's changed. He's letting Carr play. He's letting him take the ball down, taking his shots, and that's not John. John's never been like that. He's going to play possession football and go down and get a field goal or hopefully get it in the end zone, but he's not going to take a shot down the field very often. That's just not him, and he's doing that now.
Well, we'll keep an eye on those Raiders. They're off to a hot start and at the right time, very similar to the Rams. It feels like Matt Nagy's in trouble. The Bears look lost. 47 total yards of offense, 9 sacks versus the Browns. It almost makes you think, maybe all of this wasn't on Trubisky. Maybe it was something else going on there.
Well, I've been telling you all year, last year, if you remember, they don't know their identity on offense. He has a different offense every week. And he's a guy that just does not have enough, in my opinion, football background to be calling on offense. I don't know that he knows enough. And he's got plenty of guys on staff to do that. So, there's so many things that were wrong with that game. And Fields wasn't ready to play. He's averaging 4 seconds in the pocket, from what they said. You got to get back and let that ball go. He got back, and I was watching him run. He was looking for a place to run most of the time. His eyes came right off the field and started looking at the rushers and took off. And you can't help a guy. As soon as the guy starts watching the pass rush, you can't help him. He's done. No.
I mean, you've got no shot. It seems like, Mike, there's I don't want to say mediocre because this is the NFL and this is the best of the best. But I don't see a lot of really good teams out there now. You've got the Rams, you've got the Raiders, you've got some teams like Dallas that are off to good starts. But there's a lot of teams struggling, to me, trying to find their way. That's what it feels like.
I think the level of football to start the season was unusually high. I think that there's, Buffalo's lost a game, but they're really a top-notch team. Look what happened with the Packers. They stumbled out of the blocks. And now they're rolling. So I think they're shaking the dust off now. And, the pretenders are starting to fall away and the really good teams. And I don't know how good the Broncos really are. I suspect that they're a 500 team, but they're 3-0.
Yeah, but they're 3-0, right? Yeah, and we'll find out pretty soon. Some of these pretenders.
Well, they haven't. When you look at who they played the bottom of the league. On the other hand, you look at the Raiders play; they played the top of the league. So, those are the things you have to look at too.
No, that's right. And the Rams. Now, I don't see anyone on the schedule this top half that should beat them. I really don't. Later on, there'll be some games that get tricky. And Seattle to me is lost. And it's like you said last week, if they can't complete those deep race routes down the field with Metcalf and with Lockett, then they're lost. And they were able to run the ball with Carson there in Minnesota, but it wasn't enough. Once teams take away that big play, it seems like they take Seattle's energy away.
It's going to be a replay of last year. Remember, they started off last year 4-5-0, and he was throwing those deep balls. They were talking about MVP, and then as soon as they took the deep ball away, they couldn't score. They couldn't move the ball defensively. They're not very good, and they're really not very good on offense. They can't really run the ball very well. They're going to have to find, defensively they got better as the year went on last year, and hopefully that'll happen. But they're not going to win that division. There's just no way. Not with the Rams and Cardinals and those teams in San Francisco. That's a tough division.
Well, yeah, it's a tough division. I mean, there's a lot of good teams there, and not only it's one thing to be good on paper, but to play well. That's a whole nother deal. But anyway, so let's look ahead here, Mike. You got the Jaguars and Bengals coming up here on Thursday. And now I watched that Jaguar game, Jaguar Cardinal game. And, the young man, Lawrence, he makes some nice throws, and you can see his talent level. But then he made the one throw on the pick six, which I know he wishes he had back.
I'm not so sure he wasn't trying to throw that away because he was on his back foot and didn't get enough on it.
Yeah.
I looked at it, it looked to me like he saw the defender, but he's trying to throw it over their head. So, because he was still in the pocket, he didn't want to, and he just didn't get enough on it. Sometimes that happens, and people think that was a dumb throw. And I've had that happen with quarterbacks where they couldn't get enough on it to get it out of the bounce. So,
Yeah.
I'm
7
gonna give,
interceptions.
yeah, he's,
Yeah.
they just got to get him, they just don't give him enough confidence plays. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
know, quick throws, you know, the slants, some of those things, under routes, drags, and, some of them just to get him going. They're trying to bombs away with him too much. And I think that's hard because now you end up in these 3rd and 10, 2nd and 10 situations, and those just aren't doable in the long haul.
Yeah. 3 losses. That's more than his total college career, I believe. So he's he's getting a new perspective, as is Urban Meyer.
Yeah, he and the head coach, I was going to say, yeah.
What did Urban say to somebody after the game? They caught it on tape. He said, man, every week is like Alabama, playing Alabama around here.
Yeah. When the season's over with, he will be exhausted. I promise you. He will be exhausted.
Welcome to the show, my friend. All right. Yeah. So the rest of the schedule for this week, Mike, I'm just looking real close here. Carolina taking on Dallas. Man, that still might be a good game, but it would have been a better game if Christian McCaffrey didn't get hurt. He pulled a hamstring on Thursday last week, and he'll be out for a while.
I just think Dallas now is getting some momentum. They found the method to win every week, keep the defense off the field, eat up the clock, and get out and score points. They're not asking Dak to throw for 400 yards every week, 250 and rush the ball 25 to 30 times. Throw it 25. That's their way of winning. It keeps a good offense off the field, and they score points. And I think that's how they'll win.
Yeah. I would like to say that this is going to be a game of ineptness, and I hate to be gray like that, but Lions and Bears and 0-3, 1-2. I don't know.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the Bears respond to that because, defensively, they really played well in that game. They sacked the quarterback 5 times. They put him in position to score a number of times. I think it'll be interesting. I think they'll play better. I don't know who's going to play at quarterback. I really don't. But the Lions each week are getting better and better and better. And they line up against Baltimore and they lose in that long kick at the end of the game. And I looked over at the head coach and poor Danny, it's just like, what else can happen? You know what I mean? But they keep getting better and better. By the end of the year, they'll be a solid football team.
Seahawks now got to get off the schneid here after that loss. They'll take on the 49ers, also looking to rebound from a loss there. Green Bay went out there and took the game late there. I still don't understand why they don't call a penalty on that hit to Devontae Adams coming across the middle of the field there late in the game. And we'll get into this later on because we don't have time right now, Mike. But it's clear that the officials have been told to call certain things against certain people and not other things against other people. And like I said,
really?
I'll get into that.
Really wrong.
Yeah. I saw that in the Rams-Bucks game.
Oh,
and I saw that in this game. That it's an embarrassment, actually, that would go on. But it's clear. So for all you fans out there watching games and you think you saw that, but you weren't sure and you didn't want to say anything, no, you saw exactly what you thought you saw. and we'll break that down more. Now, how about this one, Mike? The Ravens and the Broncos. Now, the Broncos, as you talked about, they're 3-0. Ravens now, they with the help of a record-setting 66-yard field goal by Tucker, they win the game last week. But now they got to take on the Broncos in Denver.
It'll be tough for the Ravens, but I think that's kind of a team that each week after the loss, each week they've gotten better and better and better. And like I said, I'm not sure how good the Broncos really are compared to who they played, the Jets and a few of those teams. So I don't know how good the Broncos really are, but they're going to find out because I do think Baltimore's a real good team.
Yeah, and let's see if Lamar can keep it together and not do what he did against the Raiders and start turning the ball over all over the place. The Buccaneers and the Pats. So Tom is on his world tour right now. He plays the Rams. Okay, now he's got to go back and face his old team and his old coach. Should be interesting.
Well, I wouldn't want to be at New England. You know, he is the all-time competitor, and this is going to mean so much to him. I can't imagine them not going up there and put a licking on the Pats. They're just not very good.
Yeah. Raiders coming to the Chargers.
That's the game of the week for me.
Yeah.
That's the game of the week. That's going to be a fun thing to watch. You know, I think the Chargers beat them. I really do. To keep pace with the Chargers, they'll get after the quarterback, but he'll get that ball out there fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike, I know we've got more to talk about, but we don't have any more time. We're going to have to wrap it up. But I want to wrap it up with this one little note here. I don't know if you got a chance to see this college football. Notre Dame played Wisconsin last Saturday. And this young man came in for Notre Dame after the starting quarterback got hurt. The third string quarterback came in named Drew Pine. And Drew Pine is a nephew of Jim Pine. Remember, played in the NFL, a former offensive lineman.
Right.
And this kid, Mike, he went down the field in that second half and he got the victory. And I'll tell you what, it was that moment where it's like that Newt Rockne moment where, you know, the coach looks over and says, who do we have? Who do we have? Go. And boy, he's chewing on his mouthpiece, Mike. And the place is full. It's in Chicago. It's Wisconsin and Notre Dame in Chicago.
Right.
But the energy and the enthusiasm, I got goosebumps watching this kid because that's what it's all about. That's
Kurt
that
Warner.
moment. This is a moment, you know, that he's going to remember the rest of his life. Like all of a sudden, you didn't think you were going to play and bam, you're in the game with 80,000 people, national television, and you're a quarterback for Notre Dame.
Yep. Isn't that awesome?
It just made me think about, you know, not ever losing focus of what this game is all about. It's about the simplicity of that moment right there. You know, a guy like Drew Pine coming in, not supposed to be there, but getting it done. And he'll, like I said, he'll remember it the rest of his life.
Well, you know, and I will say this too, that obviously he was prepared for that moment.
Sure was.
Because you just don't do that and just come out slinging or play without the background. Obviously, he's prepared himself very well to play. And that's the hardest thing as a backup quarterback, is to prepare like the starter, because there's so much to, you know, learn in the preparation. And for a backup to do that, it says volumes about his preparation, about the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, and I bring that up, Mike, because you've been through that situation. You took a guy to a Super Bowl in that same situation. It was all of a sudden it was Trent Green's down. Who are you? Kurt Warner. Let's go. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right, Mike. Always fun, man. Can't wait to do it next week. Football. And thank you again to your guy, Isaac Bruce. Boy,
he's really, awesome.
He's awesome. Awesome. I think he gave everyone a little bit more insight and info about your relationship too, and that speaks volumes for you and speaks volumes for the moment you guys had back then. So
I have to tell you a real quick story before we sign off. When I first went to the Rams, the year we won the Super Bowl, came over. We're in 2 days, and we're in about the third or fourth day, and things aren't going well at all. I'm losing my mind. I'm just losing my mind with these guys. You know, they're not practicing at the highest level. All the things, you know, what I visualize them doing, they're not doing. You know, so I'm ticked off and I'm angry and I'm growling at everybody. And he came by, and he gave me the look, and he just bumped me on the shoulder and looked at me. That's all he had to do. I brought it all the way back. You know, know, okay, let's go back to, you know, who you are as a coach. You don't need to do that, you know. And he did that occasionally because I'm so wound up in practice, you know. We practice like it's a game. So if things weren't perfect, I'm grumbling, and he come by and he just kind of give me that look and give me a little nudge. I say, yeah, okay, I got it. You know, you wind it back, you know. He's a pretty awesome guy.
That's the emotion of football. That's why we love this business so much. All right, Mike, I will see you next week, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Enjoy. Okay.